Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. The Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Atlanta Falcons 22-17. Falcons almost pulled it off. Fourth quarter, a bit of a mess. You know, kind of the Falcons limping down to these fourth quarter drives, both because their offensive linemen were hurt and also because the Chiefs kept bailing them out with penalties, or at least questionable penalties. But the Falcons were down 5. They had 2 chances to score a touchdown. They got within the red zone. The first drive was like the whole middle of the fourth quarter. It's like a 7-minute drive. They get there. They're down 5. They're at the 10-yard line. It's 3rd and 5, and 4th and 5, throws to Pitts and London on those 2 plays, both incomplete, turnover on downs. Probably should have been some pass interference on that Kyle Pitts play, though I didn't mind the no call. It wasn't egregious. I would have preferred it called. If it was me, I prefer it called, but it wasn't like crazy. And then the Falcons come down again. You're thinking like, because they just did this to the Eagles on Monday Night Football, like, are they going to win this game? And they're driving. The Chiefs' penalties are kind of helping them quite a bit. We get to this 4th and 1. I think it was on the 10-yard line. It was definitely well within the red zone. And it's an outside zone to Bijan Robinson, which is absolutely sniffed out by Nick Bolton, Chiefs defense. Game over. Just uninspiring Falcons football at the end here. Just like didn't seem like they could quite make it real, you know. Maybe they just took it for granted too much because it happened against the Eagles. To me, the story of this game wasn't even Mahomes or wasn't even Kirk Cousins. It was just the Chiefs defense sort of grappling with themselves, you know, like all the penalties. They did a lot of blitzing today, which had some explosive plays, but they also had some mistakes. That Drake London touchdown was wide open. It was kind of like the Chiefs defense trying to calibrate, and eventually they did, to a 5-point lead. You know, like 2023, the story here, although it feels like it's about Mahomes, the story for the Chiefs is the defense. Steve Spagnuolo, Nick Bolton, Chris Jones, Justin Reed, we're picking up where we have left off there. They're the reasons the Chiefs have won these 3 nail biters. And sure, you know, they could easily be 1-2, it could easily be 2-1, they could be 3-0 as they are. But Ravens in the opener, Bengals last week, Falcons today, because the Chiefs defense is keeping them within a hair. That's how they win games, by a hair. You got to be within the pluck of the hair to be able to pluck the hair. And you can write that down. I don't think that's a saying, but I'm liking it. Yeah, Chiefs defense pulls it out. Chiefs offense, you know, Mahomes, another low yardage game, but still looked fine. Rashee Rice, 12 targets, 111 yards, a touchdown. He's looking like a wide receiver 1. Xavier Worthy's looking like he can emerge as a wide receiver 2. They're hoping for some sort of running back situation. It was a nice story with this the Steele and his sister's wedding. You know, I love that he was expecting to be able to go to that wedding because he never expected to be in the NFL playing on Sundays. And here he is on Sunday Night Football. And I loved Collinsworth called out, everybody at the wedding, pay attention to this pass protection by Steele, by the brother of the bride. It was pretty cool. But they are going to need, you know, someone besides this undrafted rookie. Kareem Hunt or Clyde Edwards-Helaire are both waiting in the wings here. Those will both be pretty crazy stories. Since Isaiah Pacheco went down last week. The biggest story for Chris Collinsworth today and Mike Tirico was, where the heck is Travis Kelce? It's really getting to Collinsworth no Mahomes to Kelsey. Kelsey only has 69 yards on the season. That's crazy. And 25 of that was his 2 quick receptions to start the second half today, which was clearly a concerted effort by Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes to get Travis Kelsey something. But he only has 69 yards. And I mean, they're scratching their heads. Tirico and Collinsworth are just scratching their heads. To me, it's clear. Travis Kelsey has hit the wall. He's hit the cliff. He's not going to be the elite Hall of Fame prime tight end that we've enjoyed watching. It's done. But the hope, I think, for him could be, kind of a Tony Gonzalez, sort of Jason Witten type of ramp down where they become this amazing third option. Tony Gonzalez for Julio Jones and Roddy White, Jason Witten for DeMarco Murray and Dez Bryant. Just Kelsey can become this like elder, great third option. I think he could do it, but he's struggling with that. He's still trying to run the middle of the field deep 19-yard routes. We'll see what happens there. So yeah, Falcons for their sake, not getting that 4th and 1, that Bijan thing, that's going to be the big story. You could squint at the quarter and say, Cousins was driving and Mahomes wasn't, but it's a disappointing night for the Atlanta Falcons. They had it. It's probably because it started so exciting. I mean, think about how happy Falcons fans had to be after that opening drive. They had just watched the Saints lose, and just this cold water poured on their offensive dominance. They got 12 points against the Eagles. They'd watched the Bucs get blown out. They only scored 7 points. Saints and Buccaneers, cold water losses. Kirk Cousins comes into this game on Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs defense that has been Super Bowl winning and drives the field. A very similar opening drive tonight as the Falcons' final drive on Monday Night Football against the Eagles, in that between the 20s, it was Cousins pass to Darnell Mooney, and then once they got to the red zone, punching it in to Drake London. But that was kind of it. There was, the offensive line injuries were, they had offensive linemen blowing out their knees, right? It was kind of a pale cloud of foreboding descending on the Mercedes-Benz opening. They still had big plays from Kyle Pitts. Bijan Robinson got a touchdown, but just hoping that those Falcons offensive linemen are not out for the year. They're going to need them. And if they do come back, I think the Falcons are going to be right there in the playoffs. I mean, I'm super impressed by the defense. Judon, Bates, Justin Simmons. I mean, man, they just got talent on that defense. And if the Cousins offense can gel a little bit, they're fine. They're fine. I'm not so worried about the Saints and Bucs anymore. And I know 24 hours ago, we were all absolutely frothing at the mouth, pumped about the Saints, Derek Carr, and the Bucs, Baker Mayfield. But hey, it's a long season. That's why you play the games. And Chiefs are 3-0. They still got all their Raiders, Broncos, Chargers. So their three-peat defense is, we're waiting for the playoffs, basically, for the Chiefs. So that was a decent Sunday Night Football game. I enjoyed it. Mukilteo Football Show. This show is football, everything. NFL history, legacy, ups and downs of the season. We've got shows Sunday after Sunday Night Football, Monday after Monday Night Football, and the Thursday nights after Thursday Night Football previews with Kirk. Catch us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Week 3, another great day of football. Another Sunday morning. By the way, I can't believe I haven't brought this up, but it's like one of my favorite songs, The Velvet Underground. Amazingly, I've never really associated that song, even though I love that album, Velvet Underground and Nico, and that's the first track, and it's a great song. I've never really associated with football in my whole life. I've loved that album for 20 years, and I've loved football for even longer than that. And it's called Sunday Mornings. You think that I would associate those two things, but I never really have. I think it's because like Velvet Underground, Lou Reed, John Cale back in those days, Nico, Andy Warhol. It's so New York, you know? And it also reminds me of Mad Men. I don't know if it's in Mad Men, but it always reminds me of like that type of thing. Like you don't watch football in the morning in New York, right? Not like me. I've grown up in the West Coast, waking up on Sunday morning to watch football. They watch football starting at like 1:30 p.m. But I've always loved the song. So far, through 45 hours of broadcast football, I have not gotten sick of it. So, you know, you gotta love that Celesta. Ding, 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 ding. Or a bell piano, as I call it. Velvet Underground. All right. Good day of football. Ravens and Cowboys. I want to talk about them to start the day. And then we'll talk Eagles Saints. And then we'll talk a little Caleb Williams here. We'll come back tomorrow to discuss the Monday night games. And, of course, I mean, we got to talk about the 3-0s. The Steelers, the Vikings, and the Seahawks. So we'll talk about them tomorrow. But today, the Ravens and Cowboys ended up being kind of the exciting game of the day. And it didn't look like it through 3 quarters. But in the fourth quarter, they put the Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys put their fundamental, unfixable issues into a blender together on the field, aired live on Fox. You know, 2 talented rosters, underperforming, very much needing a win. The Ravens are winning 28-6 at the start of the fourth quarter, and they end up hanging on to win 28-25. But just like, take yourself back to the beginning of that fourth quarter. Cowboys fans are just frothing at the mouth about Mike Zimmer and this crappy defense, which has been boat raced by the Saints in week 2. They made the Browns look good in week 1. And we're just hemorrhaging yards. The Cowboys are just hemorrhaging yards on the ground to Baltimore. And Baltimore fans are loving it. They're dancing in the streets. They're going to get their first win of the year. Going to avoid 0-3. Derrick Henry's got 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson's got like 80 yards. You know, Baltimore fans are just screaming with joy. Okay, the season's back. We can breathe. There's some hope. And then the Cowboys pull this comeback. What is it? So 19 unanswered points, includes a recovered onside kick, the first one of its kind. We have to announce that you're going to do an onside kick so that everyone can line up in the right spot. 19 points, and now everything kind of changes. Like, I don't know, it changes the feeling, or at least for both Baltimore and Dallas, it will consume some of the hot air that has to be exhumed this week. You know, Cowboys have this comeback to kind of hang their hat on. It's a good Baltimore team. We kind of squint and say, hey, we made it a game. I'm sure good feelings will come if they can just pull out the win against the Giants on Thursday, and then it'll kind of all look like a progression, of improvement. And Ravens fans, they had to live through the queasy feeling of of needing first downs to win. They thought this was a blowout, and then at the end of the game, they need first downs to win this game. And they had to hear all week, after blowing it to the Vegas Raiders, all week about Baltimore's 3 seasons in a row with their propensity to just blow leads. So it's just kind of interesting. We slipped into these 2 almost comical narratives battling against each other. The Ravens can't hold a lead. The Cowboys only look good when it doesn't matter. And the Cowboys narrative ultimately wins, because once it mattered again, once the game was truly on the line, they folded. You know what? Actually, that's disrespectful. They didn't fold. Lamar Jackson took this game. Ravens get the ball up 3. They've given up 19 points. They need to get first downs to win the game, and it was Lamar. He kept it in his hand. That final 10-yard run up the middle by your quarterback to seal the game, only Lamar Jackson. That's MVP football. That was fun to watch. Avoiding 0-3, fun to watch. And at the same time, the Rams were doing a comeback against the Giants, or against the 49ers. So It was a good day, good red zone day. It was also a good red zone day because of the math. 7 games in the early window, 5 games in the second window. NFL, come on, man. That's important. All right. The other cold water, or the cold water I referenced earlier, the New Orleans Saints. After the third best scoring start in NFL history after 2 weeks, they come into week 3 and they put up 12 points against the Eagles at home in New Orleans. This plummets them into a 10-team tie with the 50th best scoring start in NFL history after 3 weeks. So they will continue to plummet on that leaderboard with 12-point performances. Kirk will be happy. He's always battling the hype machine, and he battled the Saints hype machine, and they were humbled. I'm honestly surprised that Derek Carr, Shaheed, Kamara, that they couldn't keep this going, at least a semblance of the offensive fireworks going in New Orleans. They finally got to the place where it would be most appreciated. Derek Carr, and I mean, they still had a chance to win against the Eagles. They put up 40 points a game in week 1 and week 2. They get the ball at the end. It was reasonable to think maybe Derek Carr salvaged this, but then it's an interception, pushing into double coverage against Shaheed. Just a humbling one. And, I don't want to bury the lead and not talk about the Eagles there, because the Eagles, they had that Monday night bummer, and they escaped one here. I mean, man, they were the better team. They definitely was the right team to come out, but they just kept blowing chances to put the Saints away, like just comically. Fourth, turnover on downs, all sorts of ill-timed turnovers. Jalen Hurts continuing to regress, especially with turnovers. Whatever the special sauce was in 2022, we have not seen that out of Jalen Hurts, but the Eagles still have a fantastic team, and they definitely deserved this win over the New Orleans Saints. Now they're both 2-1. Lastly, I got to talk about Caleb Williams. A rookie quarterback has thrown a touchdown. And although Kirk and I both wanted it to be Drake May on Thursday when Gerard Mayo did him dirty, didn't call a timeout inside the 10 and give Drake May a chance to be that first rookie to throw a touchdown. But hey, it happened. It's weird that it took so long. Right? It was like 250 total attempts between Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, who plays tomorrow, admittedly, Bo Nix, who still hasn't thrown a touchdown, and Drake May, who only had the 8 attempts or whatever on Thursday. But it took a long time for this rookie class to throw a touchdown. And, for Williams, it was to Odunze, which is what you would have thought to begin the year, right? The first rookie touchdown is probably Caleb Williams to Odunze. But the way it happened, and he did get another touchdown against the Colts. Caleb Williams actually had 363 yards today. That's the most yards of any quarterback this year so far. We do have 2 games tomorrow, but that'll kind of calm things on Caleb Williams. That's also a really low amount to be the most yards of the year. Like, we usually have a 400-yard game by this point. In fact, we almost always do. We have a 400-yard game. I need to go back down into the math there. But, I mean, what the heck? What's going on? Passing yards are way down. All this to say, I don't think Caleb Williams, watching the game, I'm glad that he flashed a little bit, but there's still huge problems with the Bears. And Shane Waldron's too dumb to know he's dumb offense, that's a Seahawks fan talking, so I can do that. But hey, it was at least nice to see some of the flash from Caleb Williams. Maybe it looked good because in comparison on the other side, the Colts, Anthony Richardson was going wild as well. But we'll see everything in Chicago and in the NFL. It's just about seeing, can Caleb Williams bring a semblance of the superstar ability that he brought to college into the NFL? Because Trevor Lawrence isn't doing it. We need a new superstar quarterback, man. We got to keep pumping them in. I guess we have CJ Stroud, but we got to keep them coming. That's what makes the league fun. Okay, that's why I'm invested. Anyway, I don't know why I spent so much time on this. We'll be back on Monday.